Subic and the South China Sea are watching. A tiny rusting ship, the BRP Sierra Madre, has once again been the center of a high-stakes test of Philippine resolve. And this time, Manila pushed through a resupply mission despite Beijing's attempts to block it. How did a grounded World War II hull become the symbol of a nation's courage? And what does this successful resupply mean for Philippine sovereignty, regional security, and the promise of Allied backing? Welcome to Geo Frontline. Tonight, we unpack how the Philippines broke a de facto blockade, why it matters, and what comes next. For anyone who's watched the South China Sea drama unfold, the Sierra Madre is familiar. Beached on Second Thomas Shoal to establish a Philippine presence, it's small, vulnerable, and stubbornly strategic. For years, Chinese Coast Guard and militia vessels have shadowed and harassed Philippine resupply missions, blocking the path. Spraying crews with high-pressure water, attempting to intimidate supply teams and civilian vessels. Beijing's objective has been clear: make sustaining a Philippine outpost so costly and dangerous that Manila yields the ground. That's coercion by attrition. So why would the Philippines try again? Why risk confrontation over a decrepit hulk when retreat might avoid an incident? The answer is simple and profound. Sovereignty is not a negotiable commodity. Letting Second Thomas fall by default would have meant conceding more than a rock in the water. It would have signaled that powerful neighbors can rewrite maritime rights through force and fear. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Manila chose logic over fear. Maintain presence, document aggression, and rally international opinion. That calculus turned isolation into strategy. The mission that succeeded did not happen by accident. It was a carefully planned operation blending diplomacy, public transparency, and hard logistics. Philippine supply boats moved with coordination and timing. Civilian media and international observers were informed, and the Coast Guard recorded every move. When Chinese vessels attempted interference, Coast Guard crews filmed and broadcast the encounters, turning private intimidation into public evidence. This wasn't provocation. It was exposure, and exposure is Manila's new weapon. Why does that matter? Because narrative shapes pressure. An act seen only at sea can be spun away. An act captured on camera and shown to the world is different. The Philippines has made a deliberate decision. Every harassment becomes a piece of international evidence that reinforces the 2016 UNCLOS arbitral ruling in Manila's favor. By making coercion visible, Manila invites global scrutiny, and the friends and democracies who defend rules-based order respond. That leads to the second pillar of this success: alliances. The United States, Japan, Australia, and other partners have been watching. They haven't had to fire a shot to take sides. The images from Second Thomas do the work. The U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty and EDCA provide legal and logistical frameworks that reassure Manila. The Philippines is not a lone target. When supply boats are challenged, allied navies and diplomatic pressure follow. That backing lowers the risk of a single-sided Chinese gambit. Beijing calculates too. Aggression that is televised and met with broad diplomatic condemnation raises the cost of coercion. Now, let's get to the suspense all of you clicked for. Did Manila force a dangerous escalation? No. That was the art of the operation. The resupply was assertive but measured. Philippine crews completed their mission, restocking the Sierra Madre with food, medicine, and crucial supplies, and left without a major kinetic clash. That outcome matters more than a single delivery. It proved a critical point. China's attempts at blockade can be overcome when the Philippines combines courage, planning, transparency, and international support. What does Beijing lose when a blockade fails? It loses leverage. Coercion works when it is low-cost, deniable, and gradually normalized. Each successful resupply breaks that normalization. It forces Beijing into harder choices. Either escalate with greater risk of international backlash, or accept a reality in which Philippine features remain supplied and occupied. Both outcomes constrain China's options. This moment also carries lessons for other claimants in the region. Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia monitor Manila's tactics closely. A visible, rules-based response, one that documents aggression and brings allied attention, creates a template for deterrence without war. If multiple littoral states adopt similar transparency and coalition strategies, China's gray zone toolbox becomes less effective. United we stand, fragmented we yield. The Sierra Madre mission demonstrated the power of unity and visibility. Still, risk remains. Beijing will likely denounce the resupply as provocation and test other weak points. Expect increased patrols, sharper rhetoric, and diplomatic counters designed to sow divisions. That's why the Philippines must keep doing three things at once: maintain credible presence, continue public documentation of incidents, and deepen interoperability with allies, logistics, intelligence sharing, and joint exercises that make harassment an unattractive gamble. Economics and domestic politics matter too. Every resupply costs money, planning, and political will. President Marcos Jr. has balanced domestic priorities with the pressing need to defend territory. That balance is critical. Democracy's endurance depends on both credibility and the daily welfare of its people. By framing resupply as both a defense and humanitarian action, delivering food and medicine, Manila removed the easy propaganda wedge China might have used. Let's also be candid about global law. The 2016 arbitral ruling was decisive. It rejected China's sweeping maritime claims. But law without presence is paper. That's what the Sierra Madre represents. The combination of legal claim and physical steadfastness. The resupply succeeded because Manila matched legal argument with action. So what should viewers look for next? First, more transparency releases. Philippines will keep documenting encounters, drawing international focus. Second, allied logistics discussions. Expect more talk about pre-positioning supplies, rotational visits, and hardening of facilities on Palawan and Luzon. Third, calibrated Chinese responses. Watch for legal maneuvers, intensified Coast Guard patrols in other sectors, and diplomatic pressure in multilateral forums. Each move will be a test of resolve. In the end, the Sierra Madre resupply is more than a single mission. It was a message to Manila's people, to regional neighbors, and to Beijing. The Philippines will not be coerced into surrender. It was also a lesson in modern deterrence, courage amplified by transparency, and anchored by alliances defeats bullying. For a frontline democracy, that combination is essential. This is Geo Frontline, where we translate strategy into plain terms. The Sierra Madre stands not because of iron and rust, but because of principle and partnership. Keep watching. The Philippines just rewired the rules of engagement in the South China Sea, and the next chapter will tell us how long Beijing can afford to miscalculate.